have to wait for a few minutes for Sona's AV, and you have to watch it because she sums it up, what the session is all about. In the meanwhile, let me ask her, when the entire ecosystem, when the most influential actors, artists have chosen to stay silent in India today, don't you ever question yourself, second guess yourself, because speaking up has a cost and you have paid it in the past?
A very good evening to all of you. When I'm in Kerala and when I hear the word actor and artist together, it still makes sense. Otherwise, I would like to say from the industry I come from, I would not accord that kind of a connection. And I say this from the heart. Yeah, to answer, it's a joy to be here. You people might not know, I have a very special connection with Kerala. I have done some of my most crucial growing years in Kochi. My father was a naval officer. So every time I hear Malayalam or every time I smell the food, I mean, it triggers some of the most, and the music, because it is one of the rare cultures where even in the mainstream, complexity and classical music still reigns and can be found. So I'm very proud to be here for more reasons than one to start the year 2026 here. Apart from the fact that Kerala has had a tradition of beat theatre, beat poetry, beat music, beat cinema, being, what do I say, really truthful. Even women without makeup on screen is something which is so inspiring to me. It is such a statement. You know, you can step out just like a man, looking like the way we were born to be. And here I am, still thinking that Indian Express reaches out to the world where I inhabit. A little bit of lipstick is required. You know, so I want to be realistic here. I'm so happy to be here because your poetry, your cinema has had resistance, social memory, has been story first, has had great feminist thought, has been the epicenter of the Me Too movement, you know, in 2017, where this is where it started. So for me, it's overwhelming that I'm here. And to answer your question, which I seem to have conveniently just skipped by, which is about why am I not silent when others are?
Why you refuse to be silenced? You have paid a cost for it, you have named names, and you refuse to step back. You aren't, I think, very few people stand up for issues they believe in. You are one of the very, very few of them in the art world today.
So, thank you for feeling that way. I think that is the legacy I want to leave behind in terms of wearing my heart on my sleeves. And I've always believed that artists have a role beyond entertainment. And I've always believed that every time I go on stage, every time I speak with the new media, which is social media, or every time I even choose to dress up, you know, it is an expression. It is an opportunity and it's an honor to be in a position where people are watching you, listening to you. So I better not just fritter away that opportunity. And why I haven't been silenced and others have remained silent is something we should ask them. I just believe there is no other way to be. And I also think India is on the cusp of something very beautiful. In the last few years, right in front of my eyes, I have seen the center of gravity going away from the Hindi film industry. And while I feel a lot of gratitude for the music that I got to sing there and the reach that I got, I feel the fact that I have embraced independent music, retelling folk music, creating live IPs like Tarasha and Lal Pari Mastani. I have inhabited many rooms and it has given me the opportunity to seek more depth. Because while Bollywood gives you reach, we don't really have. And having said that, the biggest news right now happening in that side of the world is Arijit saying that time is up, I don't want to sing playback anymore. And I'm not one to speculate, as I said in my note earlier, but I believe it will be a need to do something a bit more meaningful, having more depth, having creative freedom, and having And somebody, you know, people troll me all the time. I can open coaching classes for trolling, I would like to say, on different. And one person, you know, wrote, and I must say this of your brethren, you know, that for some reason journalists have stopped giving their opinions or writing opinion pieces. They want to ask my opinion or somebody else's opinion and to put together a story. And that is also, what do I say? I would love to troll you on that. Because coming back to this, somebody trolled me, why? आप कब retire कर रहे हैं सोना जी? When are you retiring? You know? And I said, you know what? I have never done a job. I have never been a slave to any film industry. I have inhabited so many rooms. I don't need to retire from freedom. I have been free all along, and which is why I don't need to feel silent. I don't need to shut up. I made a film called Shut Up Sona. And it was pretty ironical because my trolls got very excited. They thought they're doing something new. When they found out this film is coming out, they would come and say, shut up Sona, shut up Sona. And I would say, you are promoting my documentary. But yeah, I hope that answers what you had to.
Yeah, absolutely it does. In fact, I would have to say the people who called you about retirement were very badly informed, because the path that Arijit is planning to walk now, you walked years ago. You started your independent label, you make your music, you own your music, which is what he wants to do now. So A, that journey, and B, what this retirement says about the Hindi film music ecosystem. Because where is the agency for composers or singers there when, well, suits run the show?
So, you know what, I would like to, I don't even know whether you're interested to hear about the Hindi film industry per se. If you are, I would give you my 2 bits living in that city. I don't believe we are lacking in talent. I think yeah, per se is lacking in is time. And it completely in connect. We have a tech. I can speak even without the mic. I'm used to projecting. Like any good folk singer would. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? So, people are in such a hurry right now that even this recent conversation, you know, which blew up with A.R. Rahman's statement, where I was constantly asked about my opinion, I said, you know, I would like to think that this opens up an opportunity to go beyond one clip, one thing, you know, go after a guy, and let's have a larger conversation about the music in films right now. The best part is, artists like me have always felt that we should not be seeking film music to validate our existence, to start with. Secondly, here, music seems to have become content. In the past, cinema and music of cinema used to carry emotional weight, of social memory, had a role to play, you know, which was much larger. Now it's largely carrying the weight of marketing, quick promotion, instant recognizability. So you can recognize music quickly. You want to make it for a reel. It is going to come and go, but it is not going to make for a deep remembrance or a deep memory. And so the role of music in films itself has changed. In the biggest film which seemed to have saved and heaved a sigh of relief for the Hindi film industry was Dhurandhar, you know. But if you were to look at the music of Dhurandhar, it's a collage of so much of put together things. And the tunes have to be very recognizable. It has to be a great beat. It has to go in for a great reel. But now when I go to colleges and sing even to 17-year-olds, अभी न जाओ छोड़ कर कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं, and they sing back, अभी अभी तो आए हो, अभी अभी तो. इसमें ठहराव है, there is silence, there is emotion, there is a conversation, there's space, and which is why a literature festival like this is such a special place for a musician, because I don't have to speak, restrict myself to a sound bite, to a headline. And I think the most radical act of dissent I can show today is if I'm not in a hurry or I'm not in a panic to fit in as many words as I did in the opening reel that my manager told me, are you sure you want to put it out? It looks like you're reading something. I said, even if I was, reading is not a bad thing because I have written it myself. But if I have to fit in something in 90 seconds and tell you everything about why I'm coming last minute to the, Thiruvananthapuram Matrubhumi Literature Festival of Letters, I need to speak in a hurry. And that is the thing. Music seems to require momentum and not the most essential thing, which is, ability to create memories, ability to breathe, and which is where I feel the storytelling aspect of songs just gets taken away. Because there was a time that the music in cinema could do both, could be personal and also could play the role of promotion. But now what is taken over is we want instant recognizability, a familiar tune, no big intro. You listen to Coke Studio Pakistan songs and they will have a 2-minute musical intro. And when I did the first Coke Studio season here, MTV was panicking us, like 30 seconds, start the vocals. Are we singing a jingle or is it a song? And a song should be able to breathe. So that panic that has set in is what is, in a way, I am having the last laugh because I'm just thinking, thank goodness that I had not put all my eggs in that basket. That basket was truly not worthy because I feel in a country like ours, which is a 1 billion plus, how is it that we are okay with a subset, being a subset of a film industry? Music being a subset of a film industry should be embarrassing for a country like us. That we only tune in to music that comes via the film medium, which the algorithm, the monster of the algorithm is right now pumping up. Or in the past, it used to be promoted in such a way that I've always felt, we run a studio called Homegrown Music, my husband is a composer. I've always felt that a singer comes in, sings a song for 2 hours at best and goes away. But the accolades that come, the godlike status that is accorded to those film singers is a bit more than I feel what it truly deserves. I say so, and it's a controversial statement to make. And in that, I think there are textbooks of perfect singing when it comes to mainstream music. We are also the culture that we should be, in fact, very proud about, that which has classical singers and classical musicians in the mainstream. No other part of the world has this. I've always found it really quite amazing that a Pavarotti or an opera singer operates in a niche when it comes to the West. Whereas a pop singer, a rock singer, occupies those big arenas and, the mainstream pop culture scale. But in India, you've had Lata Mangeshkar, Shankar Mahadevan. I mean, come on, how can we be here and not bring up KJ Yeshudas, What an artist. I would think all of us should be clapping. Maybe you're just too used to having him around. I feel completely, struck with the sheer range of his work. And we've had greats in the mainstream, but it is one of those rare cultures where such absolute complicated music forms also exist in the mainstream. And let me give you a little anecdote which is going off. One of the rare times I got to perform in Kerala was IIM, where's it? Kanjikode? No. Kozhikode. So this is long back, and I decided to wear a mundu, like a lungi, and I was being very artistic, thinking, let me take my chances, it's Kerala. Everywhere else, we have to look very typical. But in the morning when I landed in the hotel, I also felt that nobody here really knows me or cares for me, because this is Kerala, and I was proud of it. I was like, they have their own music, they have their own cinema. I am watching your cinema. The pandemic, I got saved by the cinema of the Malayalam industry. It was the only cinema that fed my soul. It was truly some of the amazing stuff that I watched. And I'm not faffing. You can ask me some names and I'll give you in the question answer section. And even when I was a child, there was Mohanlal and Mammootty, and they are still there. They're still doing great work. because they are picking up age appropriate roles. They are not trying to run around trees. And which is that film, Kadal? Oh my God. Anyway, so coming back. So coming back to this performance, in the morning when I was having breakfast, and I was thinking, Kerala, they don't care for a Hindi singer, and okay, I'll give them a good show. I'm under, there will be a lot of other students in that college from North India, which is mostly where I go to perform in. But what was a very special moment was there were a bunch of boys who had come for breakfast from the local, town into that hotel. They recognized me. And the song they picked to, in a sense, boys still will do this. They sing ya city laga, means aake mile nahi. They didn't come and say, hello, how are you? They started singing. Jiya lage na, tum bin mora, jiya lage na, tum bin mora, jiya lage na, tum bin mora. So it's a semi-classical Thumri Anka song, and when it was being made in Talash, Ram was quite concerned that I seem to have very eclectic tastes, and what I impose in the creative process of my studio is that let's not get swayed by these trends. There is no better producer than Ram, and he came up with this drum and bass arrangement on a Thumri-based semi-classical song. And now when I see a Gen A or B or whichever alphabet is running right now rediscover this song in the Reels format, the sad part is in the era of albums, people knew the artist who used to sing the songs. Now it's some random other creative which is running the song, but at least the song is the hero, continues to be the heart of it. So when you see 19-year-olds now in the concerts, and pehle when it came out, it was a tough thing because the most obvious song which caught fire was Jeele Zara. वो भी मेरे album का गाना था, by the way. And it is so tough to put out an original album that we gave it to this film. And it breaks my heart to think that it was a bunch of songs for my album and we had to distribute it in films. But guess what? Songs find their way. Piya Se Naina, which is a Khusro Kalam, which is very complex. It's very classical based, but I get to sing it in the most incredibly unexpected venues, and I think it is the role of the artist when we talk about dissent. Dissent is not only about protest music. Dissent can also take the form of refusing to simplify, of saying, I will keep the complexities, I will get lesser numbers. It might be that you see me as arty and niche, but I have always had the ambition of traveling like a mainstream artist, and I have made it happen. The good news is, let me not act fake and humble, which is a thing that Indians love to do. मैं railway station में पड़ा हुआ था, I struggled and I didn't eat for 5 days, and then I got my break after 4 million struggles, and I feel India in general, anybody I can ask here will have a struggling story behind them. But that's not what makes an artist, or that's not, this lachari, I don't know what's the word that I should use in English. This lachari that you see in reality music shows where, I took a auto rickshaw and I came and I got kicked. I could never relate to that as a judge on Saregama. It was expected of me as a woman that I should be just falsely emoting and crying and telling, oh, bichara. And that bichara thing gets my goat like nothing else. Because I believe that India is on the rise. Yes, we have a tougher life. Life is tough all around us. The cities, outside of the cities. And yet, the joy that I see in our music, reflected in the folk forms, reflected in the forms like Theyyam, they have carried, the trauma, the marginalization and all of that. And they keep reminding us, we will not let you forget. And that's the beauty of what music and artists do. The dissent can be about so many other things. It's not about just, अरे मुझे क्या बेचेगा रुपया, बाबुल प्यारे सजन सखारे सुनो मेरी मैया, बोझ नहीं मैं किसी के सर का, ना मझधार में नैया, पतवार बनूंगी लहरों से लड़ूंगी, अरे मुझे क्या बेचेगा रुपया, हो अरे मुझे क्या बेचेगा रुपया, हो हो। I sang a song about dowry all those years ago, but I did not want to sing it in this bichara format. मैं बिचारी, मैं tragedy queen, मुझ पे कितना अत्याचार हो रहा है. And the thing is, even the director of that show wanted to reject this song outright, and so happened that we managed to sneak it into the show and performed it the last minute, and there was a sword hanging around our neck that it might get cut before the, but just because there was no time, it went through, and then it caught fire across the world, not the country, the world, because I had women from South Africa writing into me saying about how they are leaving a 20-year-old abusive marriage because this song gave them the strength. And I feel there is no greater gift for an artist than to have one such song, than have hundreds of the same love song, heartbreak, I am taking a razor, cutting my hand, I'm bleeding to death, and I am crying and singing meanwhile. Because all those heartbreak songs in Bollywood are reserved for the men. Men have heartbreak, men in current times feel love. Because every time I was called to sing a duet, I somehow have the ending chorus. You must hear this song called Zalima. With it's Arijit's song, since, you know, and I was called to sing that, and I was flabbergasted because the Mukhada Antara, what do you call it, Charanam? Pallavi Charanam. So all of them were taken up by the man. It's not Arijit's fault, he's a great artist. But why is the female coming in the end? My question to Preetham was, is the man making love to himself? What kind of a duet is this? Why do I come in the end? What kind of, is this a masturbation song or is it a love song? What the? And this is a literature festival. I think freedom of speech is something Kerala has protected very strongly, so I'm taking my chances here. But the thing is, it's nobody's fault, but the system of music in the industry has become so risk averse. We are also the land of Lata Mangeshkar when it comes to. It's become so risk averse that they go by some dashboard, some streams, some numbers, and somehow I don't think you find songs anymore inside the narrative. They're operating outside of the narrative of the film. So if I had my way, I would say death to that, because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for musicians and artists to tell a story which is purely basis their music and not tell a story as a subset of another industry. So I think, I hope to come back to a forum like this where we don't even spend so much time film music. What happened to film music? What happened to film music? Music is still alive. Arijit is still going to make music. People are writing obituaries like it's the end of the world. He was singing the same song again and again. It's not the end. He's probably bored of it, you know. He's probably wanting to do something really creative and special, and I, in particular, I'm looking forward to that. Because, yeah.
You and me both. Actually, Descent is what you are doing on stage every day. The way you are bringing Indian art, Indian musical traditions, your performances are everything from, as you put it yourself, folk to funk. Folk to funk. So you have Mirabai, you have Sufi traditions, you have performers doing Kathak. But before we go there, before we discuss your role as a contemporary artist, let's watch the video. Can we have it, please?
This is an old AV. It introduces me in some of the shows, and now the AV has also been updated, but I'd love for you to get a glimpse of my life outside of this, yeah. This This is my rapid fire reel. I spoke how many words in that one? Why is this happening again? Okay, let's just leave that AV. It doesn't matter. We don't need it. Yeah, honestly.
So we were talking about you as a contemporary artist, the woman who goes on stage and while everybody is doing the Western, copycat versions, here we have everything that India stands for, the classical tradition, the regional diversity. So tell us about that.
I don't know how to put it and keep it tight, but I've always feared this cultural deracination that is happening in large parts of the country, especially when it comes to a certain set of circles. It starts with how we don't want to wear traditional clothes unless it's a Diwali. It's like very soon, like Korea, if anybody tunes into Korean content, you'll realize they have a very beautiful costume of their own, but they only wear it in the weddings. And that too only the in-laws wear it. Otherwise, everybody looks generic and like they could be in Europe or in, they could be in, and somehow I feel there's something very beautiful about India, that we still in large numbers, when it comes to the real people of India, there's a beautiful salwar kameez, there's a patta pavada, there is a sari, and we are wearing this in our daily lives. We've not made it into a costume as yet. And that's something to be very proud about. And when you really want to enjoy yourself, after a point, even if you're listening to Angrezi music, actually you tune into the music of your land. My niece studies in Melbourne and pretends that she's very cool and Drake and Taylor Swift. But when she wants to really party, she's the Telugu girl. She wants to dance to that beat, which is, she's Desi. So I have from the very beginning of my journey as an artist said, my mission is to make Desi cool. And I would wear saris on stage, handloom. I would reinvent it as an artist. I don't want to wear it like my mother wore it. I would wear it with a belt, with boots. I would do different things to it to make it me. But I would say that I need to celebrate us, our identity, our culture. It's so special and it's really where the cool lies. And it is a big problem for me when I see that, for example, the Northeast has announced that the government is going to pump in a lot of money for big music festivals. They're music lovers. That's great because the youth requires a place like a live, to get their steam off. And Bombay is so terrifyingly bad for young people because all they can do is go to a mall or to a restaurant. There are no open spaces, there is no place to let some steam off, and it is something which is affecting the mental health of a whole generation. So when a government announces such a thing, you feel, wow, this is great. I hope the other governments also do this. Or somebody else takes it up. The live scene opens up more so, the taxes go down so that it becomes better, easier. But then you see all this money is going in to host a series of headliners all flying in from outside. And it shocks me that nobody is having an issue with the fact that you have a festival like Lollapalooza in Bombay. And all the 5 headliners, nobody is from your own land. Doesn't that really tell you a lot about your self-belief, about your self-esteem? And it really horrifies me that the media doesn't pick up such a thing to write about. What is it that Arijit retired and that is worth writing about endlessly? He retired, he's going to do something good. When he does something good, nobody will write about it. We are not going to encourage an upcoming new artist or original music. So I feel that it is a responsibility of the audience who are largely lazy listeners. Now it's governed by algorithms, which is one which decides discoverability. So people say this is a very democratic time for music. But here's the thing. Access has become, it's unprecedented, the access. But it is truly not democratic if opportunity is not democratic. And diversity is not sustained. Because it is in the hands of playlist editors. It's in the hands of the same labels who own a share in the streaming platforms. So this visibility is accorded only to a few names. And discoverability is an algorithm which is a machine which is worse than the gatekeepers of the past. So that machine determines that the more familiar the music is, the more repeatable it is, the more idiotic and dumbed down it is, it will find yourself in its playlist and you will discover it easier. So a listener has to really dig and search to find some interesting music. And it's, in a sense, I think these are terrifying times. There's too much of music, there's too much of content, there's too much of choice. And navigating all of that, even for the audience, is scary. And to me, artists in the contemporary times, I am seeking to now go back into a little bit of silence. And you must know this. A streaming platform like Spotify used to pay 5 paisa per stream. It has come down to 3 now. 3. So the people sitting there are billionaires, and the artist who provides the main product for that app cannot survive by creating music alone. So somewhere, I think I will give myself that credit, and however immodest it might sound, I said, I'm going to focus my energies not running after music directors for that break, for that song, that little opportunity which might make me, make my life easier. I'm going to build my own live IPs and experiences and create this journey with Indic dance. I have Bharatnatyam dancers, I have Kathak dancers, I have folk dancers, and I have whacking dancers. It's a very rebellious LGBTQA-driven movement from LA. So everything that I curate on my stage represents me as an artist, And the music I take you through is not just going to be film music. That's just one flavor in the ice cream store. And life is so boring with one flavor, I've been to an Arijit concert in Manchester and I've found it, my God, it's terrifyingly same. The first half is songs that others have given him. They all sound like the same. And then when Kishore Kumar songs start and the Lata Mangeshkar songs start, there's a variety that comes in, and that gives you a clear idea of how music has been, in the graph of things. So somewhere in my show, if I take you through a chapter called Kalankini, which is about firebrand women, it doesn't have to be preachy, it doesn't have to be a protest song necessarily. I have a song called Roti Machine. I have fun with it, and I can poke fun at women themselves. But that whole chapter is Kalankini. And then there is a chapter called The Burning Love. So love songs of India have always been eternal. So be it the Sufiana Kalam to the Bhakti movement. That's the other thing. I will place it out here. From 10 years ago, I would start my show with Shiv Shakti. Because to me, the yin and the yang, the balance in the world came from the idea of Shiv Shakti from my culture. I would equally, with that much enthusiasm and fervor, sing Sufiana Kalam. When I sing Amir Khusro, Bulle Shah, Alif Allah, Chambe di Booty, wo bhi main bilkul, I own it. But I used to notice one thing, that for whatever reasons, Sufiana Kalam the audience is conditioned to think of it as cool. Moment I would do something from the other side of things, when you talk about Ganga, Jamna, Tehzeeb, I do Shiv Shakti, or I will do a Meera Bhajan from a blues format. There is a doubt even from the band members. Is it cool enough? Why is it? No, it's not cool. Is it a bhajan? Is it aunties only saying bhajan? And that used to bother me, saying, we need to own all aspects of our culture with equal, and it is my job as an artist. That was my dissent. I have protested in so many ways, not only poking a hole in Salman Khan's armor, because all of media would reduce me to that, Salman Khan ko usne ye bola, isko wo bola, isko wo bola. That is because media mostly will be blowing up those clickbait headlines. I feel the dissent that I have taken through and through is with every day waking up and making the choices that I have aesthetically, in terms of owning who we are, musically, satirically. And before I forget this, this I wrote down because I don't have any shame in saying that I have to learn everything. I'm not a public speaker. But these are lines that I found which are so beautiful. They're in Malayalam. So I felt they best represent what art should be and what you guys really do very well. That is a big sense of healing I feel when I think there are pockets which are doing this. My sound engineer is a Malayali. When I called him up and told this line, he started laughing uncontrollably. They were all there in the car. He says, "You're pronouncing it so funnily." I said, "But I'm not a Malayali. But I love this line. I'm going to give it a shot." Because artists need to be brave. So I'm going to give it a shot. Chashma bhi nahi hai yaar. Can't take that chance. Because you know, people take just one clip. You know my Tivra Ma debacle, right? I tried demonstrating the Ma with a much bigger topic on Lalan Top. They edited it and made it out. Isko gana nahi aata hai. Anyway. Satya Sandhata Yana Kalayude Saundaryam. Satya Sandhata Yana Kalayude Saundaryam. Truthfulness is the beauty of art. And these lines, I don't think it is the job of art or artists to be policy makers or to change the system. It's not in our hands, it's not in our control. But it is definitely our obligation to be asking difficult questions, because we can shape emotional memory. We can, with our music, with our work, with our thoughts, we can shape a collective memory, you know. And it is incomparable, the feeling of being in a live concert. I have attended Thaikotam Bridges concert many times. And I find it incredible, and that's what I mentioned in this reel, that why is it a Thayyam mask if Hanuman Kind comes from Texas with an accent and takes the Chenda drummers on stage? Bombay Palooza will like Hanuman Kind. He also has an American accent. But guess what? If a local musician here is wearing Thayyam mask, like I used to wear very different clothes for the Bombay events. And in every fashion column, I used to be told, I used to read this: Mahapatra has a very pretty face, lovely straight hair, nice skin. She dresses up like a handicraft mela. It was some kind of an insult, you know. When I felt I am expressing myself in an Indian way so beautifully, when everybody is wearing those fitted gowns and sequin clothes and those idiotic generic outfits, I am telling such an interesting story. And I am being called a handicraft mela. But there is something about our people that we look down upon our own. So a Thayyam mask, when a Texan born, brought up Hanuman Kind or will wear it, we'll probably drink it in very well. But when a local band will own its roots, they will never be given a headliner status. And that needs to change, because it's a reflection of a very low self-esteem. And that self-esteem, I don't think Kerala has that problem, honestly. Or you'd probably tell me things that I'm not aware about because I don't live here. I'm sure there are problems, there are things that you need to get better. But there is such a beautiful journey here I've seen of resistance and stories and truthfulness when it comes to, and something as simple as those clean skins that you see. I can't tell you how beautiful I feel when I see a washed hair, those little jhumkis and the clean skin and one bindi, and you are gorgeous, ready to own the world. You don't have to sit for 2 hours in front of a mirror to get ready to be presentable in an event. That's what Bombay takes out of you, you know. I think I've gone all over the place. Just get me back.
I will open it to the audience, but I have one question. Your art, you take the agency as a woman, as an artist. I remember your first music video, Aaja Ve Aaja, where women with their head covered, once you start singing, they take it off, they dance in streets. There is Bedardi Raja. In hands of anybody else, it would have been an item song. You turned it into actual empowerment narrative where you are owning the sexuality, you are owning the narrative. So tell me, where do we stand, you know, as a society, as where a woman can actually go out, say it, and be appreciated for it. The other question, while I understand Hindi cinema is not what you were out, we would want the Ambar Sariya, the so many beautiful
I've forgotten the first question, if you've come down to Ambar Sariya, no? Because I'm not going to sing Ambar Sariya here. What's the first thing you said? Aja Ve to? Sorry?
I'm saying Aaja Ve Aaja. The way you shot
Guys,
it.
you know that there is no foldback. I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to sing. I don't know how they've been having conversations because I hear everything in a very blurred way. And these technicalities are important for everybody to know that even stagecraft is a thing. If you don't hear yourself, you can't sing. So even the best of singers will sound off if they can't hear themselves. But you mentioned Ajave and Bedardi Raja. And the one thing I picked up was the fact that I told you that I shift genres, but the one common thing that remains is I choose agency in every form that I, sing in. So when you have Bedardi Raja, which was, as you said, could have been an item song. Bedardi Raja, ho jara paas to aaja, ramat phool chhadi hoon, कि माचिस तू जला जा. Hi. Thing is, women on top is also a thing. Women enjoying their sensuality is also a thing. We had a Mirabai who was singing and dancing on the streets of Mewar without the ghungat, writing her own music. She took up a guru who was from the lower caste. She was breaking so many barriers. She was talking about being in love with a man who was not her husband. That itself was a very subversive way of, saying a lot of things. So we have had artists of, dissent is like in our bloods. And of course, it suited society to put her in this domesticated format of a white sari, sitting between two walls and playing some tambura, because it just makes society comfortable to see a woman kind of in control. And this is one thing I'll park here, because there's one thing about Kerala, left ho, right ho, center ho, you're very politically charged, but whichever side of the spectrum you fall in, one thing unites all these political spectrums. They all want to control women. So I don't believe there is any particular side which is better or worse when it comes to how they like to keep the women in check. So coming back to Bedardi Raja or Ajave, the other thing was it's an original song of mine. I produced the video. I took great joy in auditioning actors from the FTII, college. And now they're big names. But it is so fabulous to be in control of your own destiny, So I don't think I struggled. I have no sad story. I have always woken up every day so excited. And even if it's reaching out to all of 100 people, it's a much more satisfying feeling than reaching out to millions without that much of a depth. So because that's the one thing, I feel artists in today's contemporary India is constantly navigating between noise and meaning. Because there is this pressure to be visible, to be instantly recognizable. There is this pressure to be productive. So an art at its core has never been about volume of output. I believe it's always been about intent. And fighting this contradiction or navigating this contradiction between volume and stuff with depth is what you go through as an artist in contemporary times, And if you're choosing depth, then you'll probably have to sometimes just stay away from the obvious glare of the spotlight,
Last question before I open it to the audience. Why don't you want to sing Ambar Sariya? Because I have heard so many people doing the cover. It will always be a Sona Mahapatra song.
I know, but I have sung 186 songs, and I find reducing everybody down to that one song it's like, I remember Kailash Kher, everywhere, even till now. Hey, Allah ke bande, in the paparazzi, Allah ke bande. I'm like, he's an artist, that's not the only song he has sung. And to reduce it down to that one song, always, it makes me feel you people don't go beyond that one song. And again, when I sang Ambar Sariya, it's a Punjabi folk song. And from the lyrical point of view, it could be interpreted, in a coy, sweet way, because you're acting so cute about this boy looking at you and you're saying all these sass, sasur kind of lines. But I decided to sing it in this robust, full-throated manner because it is in the hand of the singer to tell a story that is a reflection of their value and belief system. And that's what I chose to do with Ambar Sariya, and which is why anybody can sing Ambar Sariya, but in the contemporary times, of course, it's originally a folk song from Punjab. In the contemporary airwaves, it's going to be my song, and which is what I believe any singer sets out to do, hopefully, is to own a song. Saying, I may not, when it comes to the film format, you're not writing your song. You have no control over what the key and the pitch is also most of the times. Forget about anything else. But when you enter that booth and spend those 2 hours, you want to bring in your life experiences into that song. And which is why I feel the singers who come from outside of Bombay, who've lived a life, sing very differently from those who have never gone beyond Bandra to Juhu. And that's what I say about even the actors of Bombay. When Hindi film actors can't speak in Hindi itself properly, you know, you wonder what kind of, and which is why there is something about South India, you know, and which is why when when even this Bahubali came up and there was this whole Rajamouli and taking up everybody's imagination, I just feel it's about time, because there's a celebration of the roots, and I think that is when a country really grows up. Your self-esteem and your sense of identity and cutting across these fault lines. I mean, these are the complex things that I think that is the change that's happening in India right now. And I would like to know much more about what's happening in Kerala. I really won't know. I've just come in yesterday. I'm just carrying a beautiful memory. I must tell you, today I had lunch where I ordered almost everything. I thought I went into a food coma after that. I won't be able to come here. That pepper, that curry patta, and that coconut, and then it tastes very different here, you know. And I remembered this song. You know how songs are memories, right? And I'm sure I'll sing it wrong. And I called up my sister because I remember going to my house help's wedding in Kochi when I was 7 years old. And I don't know what it was about that masala today in the lunch that made me suddenly erupt with this song. And I tried writing it down. When I sang it again to my sound engineer saying, correct it now, again it will go viral for the wrong reasons. He started laughing again. He said, I don't think we can correct it in such a short time. But guess what? I'm going to try singing it because it's such a beautiful song. And I understand it's from the 1950s. Jyoti, did you think I will come writing some Malayali lines here?
കായലരികത്ത വലയറിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ വലവിലു കിയ സുന്ദരി പെണ്ണു കെട്ടിനു കുഴിയൊടുമ്പുടു നടക്കിനു ചേർക്കണി വേറെയാണ് വിചാരമെങ്ങളു നേരനായത ചൊല്ലുവാൻ വെറുതെ ഞാനെന്തു നേരിയം വെയിലത്ത് വടയും കുട്ടി നടക്കണ. Now the beat change. కని పులంగే కునం పిన్నావే సుందరి పున్నావే కన్మణి కేందిని కలి పరిభవం కళ్యాణ రావల్లే ఎందుం కళ్యాణ రావల్లే కని పులంగే కునం పిన్నావే సుందరి పున్నావే కన్మణి కేందిని కలి పరిభవం కళ్యాణ రావల్లే ఎందుం కళ్యాణ రావల్లే la 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 na 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 na.
What is so beautiful, because it's a memory that I've had from being 7 years old. I don't know the language. I'm obviously singing some wrong lyrics, but it's phonetic. And the feeling is something I can feel. It's a bride. I remember seeing a bride being dressed up and the women dancing around her. Opanna, na usko jo bolte hain. So that is the power of folk music. It's the power of music actually, because music tells a story in the most powerful way, because it travels faster than essays. It lasts longer than any headline and definitely lasts longer than films. Right? I believe that. And it reaches you where reason cannot. So to be in a literature festival, singing songs, telling you the stories of my journey as a musician, I feel is very, very pertinent, and that it is happening in Thiruvananthapuram gives me great, great healing and joy. Thank you so much.
We'll go for the Q&A sessions. I request the audience to keep the questions very precise. We'll take 2 questions.
Hi, ma'am. There's so much to talk about actually, like I'm getting confused. I'm currently doing my PhD in cinema studies, and my work is on the rise of indie music in India and the decline of film music in general.
And the decline of?
Film music in you know, pan-India. All the film industries basically are in the same route. They are kind of, putting the music into the background scores, and there's no lip-sync song anymore. So I think...
and when Salman Khan lip syncs, you know, Arijit runs away.
Yeah. I saw the video yesterday of that. But like, I'm coming to, I don't know to what extent how to frame this question, but I have seen, ma'am, you kind of, really criticizing, very harshly criticizing some of my favorite singers. I don't want to take the names of
Please
those.
take the names. I don't remember criticizing any such singers.
Sonu Nigam and
No, I've never
Kailash
criticized
Kher.
him.
Okay. But like,
But let's get
Yeah,
this
yeah.
straight.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
this is how Chinese whispers work. You carried a memory of me criticizing them as singers because you know them as singers.
No. I clearly remember.
But Kailash Kher, I called him out in the Me Too movement.
Definitely.
And
yeah.
even Sonu Nigam, I called him out in the Me Too movement because he, being such a legendary singer and such a stalwart, somebody who knows me so personally, decided to go to a leadership conclave and stand up and spend good time on the stage, standing up for a well-known pervert, Anu Malik. He decided that Anu Malik needs him to be defended. And when I said, I don't care how important, how big, how I might lose work, but it broke my heart to see somebody like Sonu Nigam do this. And we went into a public debate in the public forum where, let me say this straight up, boys and girls, I won it fair and square. I never got personal. I never took names. I just kept it like a lawyer. And it's sad that I get trolled by the Sonu Nigam fans still now saying, you hate on Sonu Nigam. No, I don't hate on him. I hate on the fact, on the idea that he stood up for a molester. Let me make that very clear.
Ma'am, I also wasn't, implying that. I was coming to my question also. So, these men that you basically criticize for these actions, so what correction can we do? Like, if how can these men be, turned into better or people to be with, as co-workers? In what way can we change them rather than just isolating them from the society or publicly criticizing? Because these men obviously don't take these things, thinking about the moral concerns. They are rather taking it as, vengefully.
Why are you so concerned about the 2 men who won't change? I would say
No,
there were
it's so-
2,000 young men who must have tuned into this situation, and that is the job of public intellectuals and public debate, where it gets a whole society to think and rethink and argue on their dining tables and have a conversation between themselves which will hopefully help shape attitudes for the better, So it's not my job to ensure Anu Malik went to jail. It's not my job to go and see whether Sonu Nigam has changed. It's not my job. And nor is it yours. But it is definitely, as an artist, for me to stand up for the bigger issues and the ideas. The idea is more important than the person. The idea was to say that we want safer workspaces, we want better relationships between the genders, we want, and I see this all the time, younger men are actually so much more comfortable with the other gender. So it's not that men haven't been victims of patriarchy too. They carry a lot of burdens in society when it comes to bringing in the bread. I can tell you everything from the other side. But when I stood up for this idea, I knew I was not doing it to make him better or turn him around. It's never personal. It's the bigger idea that changes and shapes society in a bigger way. When we get a platform and a stage to stand for things, I want to utilize it well. So I don't know if that answers your question. Sonu Nigam ko mujhe nahi badalna hai. It's not my job.
We'll take one more question. Ma'am,
And he's a fantastic singer. But singers and playback singers are very different from artists. Yeah, and talent and wisdom are also not connected.
Absolutely.
Ma'am,
Second that.
ma'am, what is your perspective on the increasing usage of AI in film field,
In film.
music fields, artificial intelligence in
Yeah.
music. Can it truly
Well, if I tell
harm?
it lightly, I would say that sometimes that AI is doing a better job than a lot of the human beings that were churning out robotic material. But I don't think AI can ever replace human creativity, thought, perspective, intention. I don't think it can, because it will be a full circle. You will go through this trend, this phase. I'll give you an example. If I put up a AI image on my page, it gets rejected by the people following me. They immediately catch it as not authentic and they reject it. So I count on the fact that, you know, I keep hearing these horrifying stories that Spotify has some AI band and AI artists that millions are following. It's a phase, you know, technology always comes in. And to me as an artist, I use AI very effectively. Not in these ways, but I feel it's a better assistant than a lot of the millennials or whoever I hired who didn't want to even write an email with the correct grammar and formatting. AI does it for me. So I just think it's for us to use technology. I mean, technology should be our, we should be the master. They have to be our slaves. Politically incorrect way to say it, but I don't think it's replacing human creativity in a hurry.